Hey there, I'm Lance and I'm a gamer.
And I'm Sam and I'm a non-gamer.
And we are Love to Hate, where we help gamers find great games to play with non-gamers.
And today we're taking a look at the Hincks Gazette by Bluefish Games.
The Hincks Gazette is a puzzly riddle solving type game in which you will have a box full of different envelopes. And the theme with this one is that you live in the town of Hincksville or something of that sort. And the newspaper there is quite odd. And you will be receiving different editions of the newspaper that are going to guide you through this puzzle-solving type game. It's not like an escape room necessarily, but it is got that puzzly feel to it, yeah. With this one, you'll get 2 copies of each newspaper in every envelope, so that way that you and another person can look at the material at the same time and not have to be bumping heads to look at the same stuff. Or you can save one and give it to a friend and have them play it. Whatever you want to do with that. You get that with this game. So let me go down to the table and give you an idea of what one of the newspapers looks like without spoiling too much of it for you. If you don't want to have anything spoiled, go ahead and skip over that portion of the video and just jump straight to our thoughts. All right, I have the Hincks Gazette, Volume 1, Issues 1 through 6 on the table here. Let me show you all how this riddle-solving, escape room-esque kind of game works. And the reason why I say escape room-esque type game is that you are more so solving puzzles and riddles with this game than you are trying to escape out of anything or anything of that nature that you would normally find in escape room games. Although this would maybe still fit in that same genre. Now this is one that you are going to be working through newspaper articles. So let's go ahead and open this up. Now I do want to also say before I do open this up that if you would prefer not to have absolutely anything spoiled, you might want to go ahead and skip over this portion of the video. I'm not going to really spoil any of the puzzles or solve anything for you here, but if you don't even want to see what's inside this box, go ahead and skip forward. That being said, let's open this up. Now this is Volume 1, Issues 1 through 6, as I've already said. And inside this box, you're going to see a lot of thematic material. You will have lots of different envelopes in here and some packaging material and some mysterious packages in this box. Now this is not everything. I've already taken out some of the things. I'll show you what some of those things are here in just a second. I do want to point out anything that has this Hincksville postage stamp on it is just going to be more for the experience and thematic nature of the game. It's not going to be any kind of puzzles or riddles for you to solve. But anything that has this stamp on it is going to be puzzles, or this type of stamp, this black and white type of stamp, as each envelope is going to have a different stamp. But you'll know that these are part of what the game is all about. Now, there are going to be stickers for you to try and unlock throughout the course of the game. Now this is something that I've taken out of this, and I've already taken off some of the stickers. I've left some on here so that you can see that there are stickers on these and that you will peel them off. If I can get that peeled off here. These do normally come off really easy. I'm having a hard time getting this particular one to come off. Let's try a different one. Let's try this one here. There we go. That one came off very easily. So you can just take these stickers off. Now you'll do this whenever you have fully solved this particular puzzle, and you'll have another element here that you will be able to put these stickers on, matching up with the right one. I think this was Volume 5 or Issue 5, August here, and you'll put it on that spot to show that you've done that one. And you can see here that there are lots of issues. So you've got up to 12 issues for Volume 1, and you have up to 12 issues for Volume 2. So lots of different puzzles for you to solve with this particular game. So let's go ahead and open up one of these envelopes here. And again, if you don't want to have anything spoiled, go ahead and skip over this portion of the video because I am going to show you what one of these little newspaper articles look like. Now they all generally look about the same. They're going to look like newspaper articles, and you are going to get 2 copies inside of each of these envelopes here. As you can see, we've got 2 copies that are exactly the same. Robots pamper guests at new luxury hotel. hotel. The reason for that is because if you are playing with lots of people, you don't have to share the same material. These are exactly the same. One person can have one and another person can have another, or one group can have one and the other group can have another. And that way you can both look at these at the same time and brainstorm what you're supposed to be doing. Now, let's go ahead and open this up. I'll scoot some things out here so you can get a bigger overhead view of these newspapers. So these newspapers are going to look like newspaper articles with articles for you to read, pictures to look at, and other various things to consider what could possibly be the puzzles here for you to solve. Now, there's no instructions necessarily. You're not really guided to what you're supposed to be starting at. However, there's generally going to be something in the thing that will say, you might start here. That might give you a heads up as to what to do, but you will just basically be reading this, trying to figure out what is it that you're exactly supposed to be doing and what the puzzles are for you to solve. Sometimes it's a little more obvious than others. Other times it's not going to be so obvious. You'll have to kind of figure it out and brainstorm what it is that you're supposed to be doing. Now, you are probably going to want a pencil, and the game does come with its own pencil. This is not the pencil that came with it. I just couldn't find it at the moment of the recording of these rules videos here. But you might want a pencil because you're probably going to be crossing things out, circling things, drawing lines, just marking up this newspaper in some way, shape, or form. And that's another reason why you have more than one copy, so that you can mark one up and then give the other copy to someone else to do without giving out the answers for how to figure these puzzles out. Now, you are going to need an internet-connected device, such as a phone, and you're going to be going to Hincksville.com to get hints and figure out the answers to the riddles here, because here's the Hincksville.com website on the newspaper. And you'll want to select the Hincks Gazette here. And we'll pick Begin here. And you'll select Volume 1 or Volume 2. This is Volume 1. And this is the July issue. As you can see, it's the same article. And we'll click on that. And it'll tell you what it is that you are trying to ultimately solve with this particular puzzle. This one says here that we need to find some code word so that we can erase all instances of some bugs that are happening in these robots here. And so you'll enter that in right here once you've figured that out, once you've gotten all the way through all the material that's in this newspaper here, and you'll press enter and it'll tell you whether you're correct or not. And if so, you have completed this issue. Now, if you need a hint, you can hit the button down here for need a hint. And there is a long list of hints here that you can go through to figure out what it is that you're supposed to be doing here. Now, I will point out that if you hit any of these hint buttons right here, it is going to keep track of how many that you have checked, and you'll get a score once you put in the answer here, and your score is deduced by however many hints that you use. And that's important because there is a leaderboard at the end of each of these, and you may want to, if you're competitive, you may want to have a high score so that everybody can see that you're at the top of that leaderboard. And that's pretty much the gist here with this. I'm not really going to go into how to solve any of these puzzles because, again, I don't want to ruin anything for you here. I do want to come back to this box here, though, and show you once again that there is lots of material here that is thematic, that's going to add to the narrative of these puzzles for you to solve. So it's not just about the puzzles and it's not just about the game. There is a lot of flavor text, let's say, and some of it is pretty humorous, and there's also some mysterious packages of something that may be in here rattling around. But anyhow, I'll leave you to discover all of that here with Hincksville and the Hincks Gazette, Volume 1, Issues 1 through 6. Let's go back up top and share our thoughts on this game.
And we're back, and now we're going to share our thoughts on the Hincks Gazette from a gamer and non-gamer's perspective. So Sam, let's start with talking about this genre of game because I feel like it's one that we've had kind of pop up quite a bit this year. Yeah. And it is a game, it's a genre of game that I think a lot of people really like. You know, that escape room, or in this case, the puzzly riddle type solving game. And with that, especially in this case too, it's the game where you can only play it once, because then once you've played it once, you know the puzzles, you know the answers, you know the riddles. But then you go on to the next one, right?
Yeah.
What do you feel about that? What's your kind of feelings
About
on that?
the genre in general. I mean, I like it. I really enjoy it. I think it's fun. Escape rooms is something that we were doing years before we got into board games, or years before I did. And I like that idea. I do feel like at this point we should know Braille and we should know Morse code because we have had so many
games involve one of those components.
I do feel like I'm getting closer on the Braille.
Now, I'm not going to necessarily say that that's what's in this game.
But I feel like it's a common thing in a lot of them. That
sort of thing, yeah, for sure. What do you think it is about that can be something that gamers, because I'll tell you, I really enjoy these kind of games too. For the most part, I think there are some that kind of hit and miss, but I like the genre as a whole. I think a lot of people do. But what is it about that gamers and non-gamers can both sort of get into?
I don't know. I think as young as elementary school, like you had the word not like math word problems, but if Sarah has a red hat and
deduction, logical deduction kind of things. Yeah.
And I think there's just something about everybody wants to be a detective.
Yeah.
It's some sort of.
Yeah, it makes you feel smart. It makes you feel like you've accomplished something. Yeah.
So.
Yeah, and I think this is kind of the one that has such a unique quirkiness to it that really kind of makes it stand out. It has this unique kind of country newspaper, old-timey, almost a little bit kind of out of the Twilight Zone a little bit too, look to it that really kind of makes it intriguing, and it's something that I want to keep pulling off the shelf because of how it looks and how it kind of gives me that's a little odd kind of vibe to it. I want to know more about it. I enjoy the way it's packaged and put together. If you watch the portion of the video right before this one, the segment right before this one, you'll know what it looks like out on the table. And I like that presentation to it. It kind of makes it feel like it is something being mailed specifically to you. It has that immersiveness to it. So let's talk about the actual experience of playing through this one and trying to solve the riddles, trying to solve the puzzles. What was that like for you?
I think this one took me a little bit longer to kind of get the hang of because everything, the answers, the riddles, everything is in a newspaper.
It's in a newspaper.
And it's a very different experience than, say, the Initiative, which we're huge fans of. It just felt different. So it took me a little while to figure out what's going on here. What am I supposed to be looking for? So you kind of have to get that momentum up.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Now this one, I think one of the things that really caught me off guard, and that may sound like a negative, but it's not necessarily, is that it doesn't really have an instruction manual. It doesn't really have a start here.
Why it was hard, because you didn't know.
You kind of look through the whole thing and you're like, okay, what do we do with this? And then you kind of have to collaborate. You kind of have to talk with one another.
You could accidentally start in the wrong.
I guess you could, but you wouldn't get very far, I don't feel like. And some of them are more obvious than others. Like there's one that basically says start here. But for the most part, you look this over, and it's not necessarily, you would think that, if it's a newspaper, you're supposed to start right at the top left, right? No, not necessarily. Yeah, you do want to read that. You want to read the main article, but that's not always where the puzzle actually starts. It starts in other parts, and maybe it's on the back page. And so you really kind of have to take in the whole thing, which I like because it shakes it up. Episode 1 isn't going to be solved the same way as episode 6, and I like that because you can't get into a groove. You kind of constantly have to,
See, I like a groove.
I knew you were going to probably say that.
I like a groove, and I think that's probably why it took me a lot longer than Lance, because I think the first time he kind of figured out the first puzzle, then he kind of gave it to me and said,
"I want to see you do it."
Yeah, and I was like,
I'm lost.
I don't even know. What am I supposed to do? And I get frustrated. So I think it does work well as a 2-player or more. If I was playing this by myself, I don't think it would be enjoyable for me.
Okay. All right. Let's get to pros and cons for the Hincks Gazette. Sam, we've kind of raved a little bit on the what we like about it, but let's get the bullet points out there. What to you stands out in a good way?
I mean, I like that it's one piece of paper.
Yeah.
You know, it's front and back.
It's minimal.
And, yeah, you're not, you know...
There's not a lot of components that you could lose or accidentally tear or use them in the wrong way, like some board, like these escape room games have.
Yeah, like you're accidentally like tearing the box up.
Well, and I've also found that with the escape room games that don't work well for me, it's usually because of a component issue.
Yeah.
Like the components didn't work the right way like they were supposed to, or what the game was hoping for it to do.
Because
you don't have that
I
with
think
this.
if you're the ones that are really using escape room components like locks and keys and codes and things like that, if you use cheap materials or components, then it's just not as believable,
and it's not as immersive or as fun.
And so when it's just a newspaper, and I do like the way that they put two in there, so you really can play with one, and if you do make a huge mistake, I don't know, if your kid colors on it, which I'm sure is gonna happen with us, you have another one. So I think it is very unique just to have that one piece of paper, and you just have to, all the answers are right there in front of you, and you just have to figure out how to find them.
Yeah. Also, another thing that I'll throw out there with that, what we're, kind of the same topic is that it is super portable. You can take this anywhere. In fact, you can, we went on a camping trip and we took this with us in the car so that it could be played while we were driving, not that, so the driver could necessarily.
I just held it right in front of his face.
But it's one of those things that you don't have to have a table to do.
Yeah.
Right? Like one person can read it to the other person and, ask questions and kind of bounce something off.
We're going on a plane ride here in a few weeks, and so this might be something that we can easily fit in our backpack and bring with us.
Exactly. Yeah. So I really enjoy that aspect of it. Anything that maybe doesn't work so great for you with this one?
I think that lack of direction is difficult for me, not knowing where to start or anything like that. And I really hate in escape rooms. I like that they give you the option to look up a clue if you need it.
Okay.
I felt like I needed more clues with this. And we talked about this beforehand, Lance, but most of the time when we were looking up the clue, we were so close to it.
Or we were right. And we just wanted validation.
Yeah. But I didn't, I feel like you said, it was right, but we weren't sure we were right. Yeah. And that's, I want to be sure.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I will agree with Sam that this was one that it was like, I feel like that's the right answer. And maybe it's because you're physically writing on the components, right? And it's like, anytime I'm doing that in a game, I want to make sure that I'm not writing something that's wrong and I'm going to have to erase it later.
Because if it's a code and you're opening a lock, you know if it's right or not. It either opens or it doesn't open. Yeah. And so when it's writing and it's, you don't know.
Yeah. And like I was saying, you don't want to write the wrong thing 5, 6, 7, 8 times, because then it'll look like a mess. And then even if I get it right, well, the thing looks gross.
I feel like a failure if I have to look up a clue.
Right. Yeah, I do too. So you don't want to use the clues, but I do think you do have to. You do have that feeling of, I really want to make sure I'm right on this before I write it on the actual paper. At least that's how I felt. So I'll agree with Sam on that. All right, let's get to our scores for the Hincks Gazette, and I do think we got to kind of maybe score this in the genre of game, with those escape room type games. Even though I'll keep saying this, I don't know that this is necessarily an escape room, because it is just the one component.
Yeah,
it's more of a puzzle riddle type game. So let's keep that in mind as we're scoring this one. But where does this one come in at for you? Scale of 1 to 10, love to hate.
I'd probably give it a solid 7.
Okay, all right.
I would play it again.
Yeah.
I've just, in the genre of escape rooms, I think there's so much out there.
It is, yeah.
But it is one that was easy to play, and I can definitely see us playing again.
So I'm gonna be higher than that, and I think what I'm more giving a lot of weight to with my score on this one is the fact that this one stands out to me. It is so unique. It's so different. And maybe that's because it is just a one-sheet newspaper kind of thing, right? And you can take that anywhere, and that's such a different thing for me. Maybe it's the fact that it's got this weird kind of, unique look to it, and I really like that.
I don't know what it is. The presentation, all of the above, I don't know. But it stands out to me, and it's one that I'm going to probably pull off the shelf a little bit more than some of the other ones in this genre. I'm going to give it a 7.5. Not, huge higher than what Sam is, but I feel like it is different. It is something that's unique to me. And it's not necessarily this licensed product that's got this, IP attached to it that really makes it stand out. It's just different. It just looks different. It has a unique feel to it. And I like that. So 7 and 7.5 is where we're coming in at on the Hincks Gazette. It is from Bluefish Games. Go to the description. We've got the link down below where you can go and check it out on their website. And while you're there, leave us some comments down below. Let us know what you think about it.
Make sure to like and subscribe and push that bell button so you get notifications of all our new content.
I'm Lance.
I'm Sam.
And we are Love to Hate, where we help gamers find great games to play with non-gamers. We'll catch you next time.